ISF. Good morning, grade 6 to 8 parents. I would like to first start off with an apology with the technical difficulty that we've just had. We are lucky, though, to have a technical team who help us to resolve the problem very quickly, but we intentionally delayed the starting point a little bit so that we can allow more parents to be joining us this morning.
好，各位家长，大家早上好。那先说声抱歉，因为刚刚我们遇到一些技术层面上的连线问题哦。那还好，有我们专业的这个技术团队呢，第一时间为我们协助以及完成了这个问题。那我们会把时间呢稍微挪后到现在9点15分才开始这个家长早会的。
Okay, without further ado, let's start our presentation for this morning, please.
好，那我们现在开始我们的一个简报。
I would like to start off with introducing the team. I feel very fortunate and lucky to say that we have a strong team here at the ISF. We have 4 counselors in the UGC team, and also with Carson as the administrator and also our official translator in the team.
那在简报上看到的，这是我们这个强大的升学辅导团队的阵容哦。那我们一共有4位的辅导员，那他们都是来自不同领域的专长，那以及1位的这个行政人员，也就是今天负责做翻译的我叫 Carson。
And my name is Terrence, of course. From the chart, you can see how I look like. And then eventually, later on in this presentation, you will be able to hear each one of us presenting to you in this presentation.
那在我右手边这位呢是尤老师，就是中间这位 Terrence Yao。那等一下呢，我们就会逐个介绍自己，以及为大家展示这个简报内容。
Okay, I'm going to kick off the actual presentation now. Thank you very much, first of all, for parents who have sent us questions about, what would be the points or topics, that the parents group are really interested in finding out. And the UGC team has spent some time looking at the questions and basically divided up or categorized these questions into 2 categories. The first category would be the ISF focus category, which is more about the in-house kind of guidance in terms of academia, studies, options in school. And then we also have questions coming from a more, I suppose, macro area from outside of ISF relating to universities about application systems in different countries, test preparation and test planning for certain countries or certain universities, and also some of the political factors or external factors that may or may not affect the university applications in the future.
那较早前呢，我们发出的这个问卷，那我们收到非常多家长很踊跃的这个参与哦，所以我们整合了所有的问题，主要归纳为2大类的。首先，第一类就是包括了以这个学校为出发点的，就是类似就是红利和升学辅导组对于6至8年级的学生家长，无论在这个 MYP 或者是国际文凭 IB， 以及升到去大学或者是到职业导向方面呢，做出哪一些的协助。再来第2部分呢，就是以我们部门升学辅导处的这个比较专项的问题，包括了这个申请美国和美国以外的大学到底是有什么区别的，以及包括了他们的系统和怎样的一个体制，在申请上需要做一些什么样的准备，是否需要一些入学门槛的考试或者是资格。那再来就是比较深入一些问题，就是这个外部及内部的资源，我们会提供哪些资源给学生以及家长。那最后一个呢，就是现在由于一个政治因素会如何影响我小朋友或子女上大学的一个机会。
So we're going to start with the in-house matters, NYP, DP, and then we'll go outwards to the applications and universities. Starting from grade 9 here at ISF, the UGC team does give guidance to students and families at the grade level of 8 and 9 based on request to discuss their MYP options selections. The IBO does a very good job in providing a guideline in terms of how a student in grade 8 should be selecting their MYP options for grade 9 and 10. Basically, as long as the students or the families are following the IBO guideline in selecting these options, it would be feasible and it would create the potential of applying to different universities in the world. But of course, additional to the IBO guideline on the MYP options, the UGC team can also come in or will also come in at grade 9 in terms of giving guidance to specific families. So starting from grade 9, each student will be, or each family will be assigned to a UGC counselor. That way, the one-to-one relationship will start building onwards from grade 9 until the students go to universities. So throughout the year of grade 9, we will have 6 UGC classes, which we will meet with the cohort of grade 9 to discuss and to learn about and explore different opportunities, their personalities, their strengths, in terms of how these can match up with their university choices. And in this school, we are quite lucky to have subscribed a system called Unifrog, which help us to manage the psychometric assessments, which give us reports on the students' again personality, strengths, and preferences, which are related to the careers or potential careers choices. We are also quite unique in the sense that we also offer the PSAT to the grade 9 students. As far as what I know, not that many schools, would have this opportunity or feature giving to grade 9 students. One of the philosophy that we have is, of course, not over-testing the students, but rather we would like to give students one more practice in grade 9 so that they can become a little bit more familiar when they come up to grade 11, taking their real SATs or ACTs. And I'll give you guys a plan, a flow chart later on to show, when and how these preparation would be done. But I do have to emphasize also that, not all of our families may look into universities in the U.S. They may look outside of the U.S. So with this kept in mind, we have the PSAT test as an optional opportunity. So of course, when it becomes time, or when we get closer to time in the PSAT registration, I will then send off invitation to the grade 8 families to sign up for PSAT for grade 9.
好，谢谢尤老师。那刚刚尤老师所提到的，其实这个 IBO 也就是国际文凭组织，无论是它对于这个 MYP 以及 IBDP 的选课上呢，都给予一个十分充足的一个指引的。所以简单来说，学生在选课对于他日后横接大学方面呢，是不会有任何这个困难的。那刚刚提到就是我们9年级开始呢，我们会有对于学生会有怎样的一个协助呢？首先，我们会为每一位学生配置一位升学辅导员的，直至9至12年级。那第二个重点呢，就是包括我们1年里面呢是有1个学期里面呢是有2堂的升学辅导课，那总共1学年里面呢一共是6堂的升学辅导课。在升学辅导课里面呢，我们会向学生引导去使用这个叫做 Unifrog 这个平台。它是一个怎样的平台呢？它主要是一个让学生可以去探索一个自我个性，然后学生的优势以及他的喜爱偏好，包括兴趣等各方面的强项，从而再找出他一个职业导向，他喜欢怎样的职业。那再来呢，我们就会有这个 PSAT 的这个预测考试它就是适合于给学生有一副美国申请的一个考试的。那据我们所知呢，其实很多的学校呢，它都很少去举办这个考试的。主要的原因就是不想让学生们就是过于去专注在这个测验方面的。 但是在我们升学辅导处的概念来说呢，我们就是希望学生呢是有这个机会呢去尝试这个考试，从他9年级开始，那从而呢建造他有这个信心去日后应付这个考试的。那请注意一下，这些考试呢不是强制性的，它是一个可以选择性的考试。那当在下年就是8年级，他们年底的时候，学期年底的时候呢，我们就会发一个电邮告知，就是你是否需要参与这个考试的。
Okay, thank you, Carson. And of course, we can now move on to the IBDP level on option selection. Of course, this would involve the grade 10 students. And as you can see on this slide, there's more text. And that's just simply because we do more with the grade 10s at this level in terms of option selections. And that is simply due to the fact that some university choices or some university study courses would have a subject-specific requirement. They may have a prerequisite of asking IBDP students to have prior knowledge on certain study areas. So with this kept in mind, the selection on IB diploma classes would be more important when it comes down to UGC and also students looking at universities. But of course, again, I do want to say that not all university choices would have a strict subject-specific requirement. The main thing really for the UGC team is that we work with each family individually with the family needs, background information, and the preferences in deciding what is the best for each family. So please accept our apology that, we probably won't be able to give a one-size-fits-all answer, but the guideline here that we give to every family, would be equal and fair. So starting from term 1, again, we will have the UGC counselor assigned to a family. So naturally, the counselor working with grade 9 students would be naturally progressing into grade 10 as well to maintain that relationship. And during this option selection procedure or process, if you would like, each counselor will meet with each student on a one-to-one basis, and the feedback of the meeting, the findings of the meeting would actually be shared with parents and tutors, and we would then also have to sign off on a form to give an approval, a preliminary approval, that the students' choice of DP options are aligned with their university choices. So this particular form gets reviewed by our IB coordinator, Mr. Kevin Hoy, and then the process will go onward that way in terms of option selections. We also have 6 UGC classes with grade 10 students throughout the academic year. So besides the option selection support, we would also continue on university research from the grade 9 Unifrog and moving into a system called CLFO in terms of university research and application. We will also continue monitoring the students' academic performance to make sure that they are in line with their university choices. If there's any red lights, alarms, we will then talk to the family to ensure that we are still on the right page and we're still keeping the right pace in going towards the family's goal. Same thing here, PSAT is again offered at the grade 10 level. So realistically, our students here at ISF would be taking or could be taking PSAT twice before they do the actual SAT.
好，谢谢尤老师哦。那家长现在看到这个版面呢，就是10年级学生的这个版面了。那相对它比9年级来说呢，是有更加的复杂，以及来得更加的重要的。那首先第一点就是它因为在日后选科的时候呢，需要这个特定的科目成绩的要求，那它不是每一所大学都是需要这个科目的特定要求的。那学生在选课方面呢，我们就会因应这个家庭背景或者是学生个别意愿的要求去量身定造他的这个课程。那我们保证这边呢是一个 公平公正的去做这个处理的。那在第一学期呢，我们把重点归纳为3项了。首先就是从学生9年级开始呢，因为我们已经委派了一位升学辅导员，那相对来说他在10年级的时候呢，已经跟辅导员建立一个良好的关系。那因此呢，我们就会举办这个1对1这个面谈，是1年里面呢至少要有1次的。那当面谈完毕过后呢，升学辅导员会把这个意见回馈给无论学生、家长以及是导师的。再来呢，我们会提供一个资料夹给学生或家庭，那里面就是包括一些重点资料，例如是在 IB 选课的一些指引方面的。那也就是当他在选完课的时候，在之前呢，我们升学辅导员呢也会签署这份就是他的选课的这个表格的。那这个表格要经过几方面去做审核的。首先是要包括了这个我们的 IB 课程总监 Kelvin Hoy， 然后升学辅导处以及是可能是学科老师方面做签署的，就是认同学生会选修这门课的。那1学年里面3个学期的重点呢，包括了我们也是有6门的升学辅导课。那我们会着重在这个包括学生这个个性、学习方式和一个领导评估以及大学学习的相关性内容。再来呢，我们会教导学生使用一个新的平台，也就是叫做 Siafo 的。那 Siafo 跟 Uniform 它有分别，因为 Siafo 呢，它主要是适合10年级学生或以上的学生，主要是因为它能让学生体验做这个大学这个搜索研究和应用的。再来呢，我们会密切的留意学生这个成绩哦，像包括他在 MYP 里面的电子评估。那一旦学生在这个成绩上出现有一点浮动的话呢，我们会第一时间去联络这个家人做一个面谈，就是看看学生最近的身心状况是否有遇到任何的困难之类的。那再来重点看到，我们也是10年级学生呢，也是会有1次可选性的 PSAT 测验的。所以呢，当学生在9年级到10年级呢，他一共有2次的这个预测，再来到下一次的正式考试。
So the previous 2 slides give you a preview of what we do at grade 9 and up. So now we're going to provide information to you which is more relevant to grades 6 to 8. So I'll pass the time to Lindy now.
那刚刚呢，我们提到就是9至10年级的课程重点。那现在呢，我们就会往前一点，为6至8年级学生的家长带来这样的协助。好的 ，Lindy。
Good morning. First of all, I want to commend you for choosing an IB program. Take a deep breath. All this information you'll be hearing a lot more about, but what should stay with you is an IB program is an incredibly rigorous program that's highly valued by universities around the world. In the U.S., in fact, our students often will get up to a full year of credit because they hold an IB diploma. So, congratulations. Second congratulations to you goes to choosing ISF Academy. ISF Academy is uniquely structured in a way that's going to give you incredible support for your students. Although we have over 2,000 members of our school community, our secondary school is relatively small. And what that does, it develops a cocoon of support, a cocoon in terms of opportunities, and a way to really monitor your child. These middle school years, grades 6 through 8, are wonderful years because they are really exploration years. We're looking at identifying students' potentials and developing their strengths, and also looking at what might be challenges for them in the future. Your job is to really encourage your child to get engaged in what's out there in terms of ISF. With the house system, They have a mini family, and their leadership positions, their opportunities for events that they should get involved in. We know that students in grades 6 to 8 are trying to find themselves, figuring out who they are academically, who they are in terms of a social being. And this structure in these 2 free years give us great chances for helping them with this exploration. Think about all the wonderful extracurricular activities. This is your job, parents. What's out there? What could your student be involved in, engaged in? If there's a field trip, maybe you need to give more of a nudge that they take advantage of this. Or maybe running for a role within their house. There's just, this is the time that they need your support and encouragement, because we're all kind of finding our way, ages 13 to 15. I've worked at a lot of schools, and there's nothing like Shuyuan anywhere in the world. This is a hidden gem, and you parents should really take a look at what's out there in terms of these options. Our microbiology lab is fantastic. It's at the level of a university lab. Our program in classics is unparalleled, with our students achieving honors globally. So these are options just there for the taking, and make sure you are on top of this and looking at what indeed your child might be involved in.
好，谢谢 Miss Lindy 哦。那下来就是我们看见这个6至8年级的这个学生，我们来做这个2个层面的这个结合，包括是学校层面以及这个升学辅导这个层面的。那 Miss Lindy 主要提到呢，就是说谢谢大家选择红利，因为红利呢是主要提供 IB 课程的。那 IB 课程呢，其实是一个在世界各大学都是一个高知名度、具有这个高认可性的这个课程的。那以及红利它有它的独特架构，包括在学校层面呢，里面我们会就是培养学生去当一个领袖，然后还有我们独特的这个每一个社的这个系统，然后呢也有一些很充足的课外活动，以及像是之前在疫情还没爆发之前呢，我们会有这个户外体验学习。那再来最后一个就是 Miss Lindy 所说的，就是最特别就是我们这个书院里面的课程。那在透过这2方面做整合呢，就是培养学生这个在全人教育方面呢，塑造他成为他具有一个领导才能呢，以及无论是他在这个学习课程领域的自主学习性或者是参与性提高。再来就是他的这个社交上面的参与，从而了解他们自己的兴趣、喜好、强项以及他们的学术意愿的。那透过各种整合呢，我们都会在从旁升学辅导在从旁做协助的，像是我们会，你们在右手边看到这个区块呢，我们会有一个像是跟学生家长个别的访谈，再来我们会提供一些6至8年级的这个升学辅导课程的。那这个我们等一下会稍微做一个讲解的。还有呢，我们升学辅导组呢会采取这个门户开放的政策的，主要是欢迎学生跟家长跟我们做一个沟通的。
And what we know is our overarching goal is really to get to know your child and you better. Who is this young person that's evolving? And to that end, we are offering appointments with UGC team on a request basis. Jim and Ellie have developed a new optional curriculum that will begin in February for grades 6 through 8, and also coffee mornings and any other requests you might have through your PTA rep. So we are here as a team to support you in this process.
那再来，刚刚 Miss Lindy 提到的，就是包括了我们会向每个家庭或者是每一位学生他的专长去做深入的了解的，那从而 为他升学铺好一个美好的前程。那它主要还包括了我们会定期举办一些咖啡早会，像是今天的，以及是平常我们会跟这个每个几个高年级的家长代表做见面的。
Well, I had a sixth grader once, and someone gave me great advice. They said, put on your seatbelt because you're going to be taking a ride, and it might be a roller coaster ride. And that's exactly the advice we're giving to you. We're going to have to be open and flexible as we find out where our child is, where they're heading, when do we be more forceful, when to be more relaxed, and we're part of the team to actually get this accomplished. This is the time, 6 and 8. It doesn't appear anywhere on transcripts that will go to university for your child to really find out what indeed are their interests. One thing we suggest is that you maybe start doing some career exploration with them. Maybe college becomes a topic of conversation at the dinner table. Maybe you visit Hong Kong University one weekend so that it's without pressure an agenda item in the family. There's so many global options that it's a good time to begin thinking early. Also, thinking about as what you are doing with your child's free time and the summer. We have some students who know exactly what they want, some students who are totally confused, and guess what? Both are normal. In the US, about 60% of our students apply to university as undecided. But we can help really with this process through the meetings we have and through the curriculum that indeed is being offered. This is your time, and we're really here to help you with it.
好，谢谢 Miss Lindy 哦。刚刚我们听到呢，就是 Miss Lindy 对于这个6至8年级学生所给予的一些建议的。首先，刚刚提到就是我们之后会有这个6至8年级的这个升学辅导课程哦，那是由我们的辅导员 Miss Ellie 跟 Mr. Flaherty 去设计这个可选性的课程的。那再来呢，我们会给予一些建议呢，其实都是主要是以这个探索阶段为主的。我们可以建议家长或学生进行一些沟通，包括就是学生在于这个户外活动或课外活动呢，他会做一些怎样的参与？例如包括一些线上或者是这个暑期的学习，去这些所谓的我们的丰润知识的课程，那无论是在本地或是海外大学举办的。那第二点呢，就是我们会建议学生跟家长去为学生建造一个良好的这个学生的个人资料档，就是他的个人履历，从而达到就是日后申请的时候会更有帮助的。我们可以举个例子，就是例如学生他可能专注在运动上面的，我们就可以列出他所得到的一些成就和奖项。那第三点呢，主要是学生可以透过这个对于不同职业的这个自我认知，以及做一些简单的做探讨。那再来呢，就是 Miss Lindy 刚刚提到，就是这个在美国呢，其实有这个很普遍的现象，像是大概有68%的学生，当他升读到大学的时候呢，第一年他都还没知道他自己要念什么科目的，所以这个是一个很普遍的一个现象。
Don't worry. Let your child follow his or her passion. Here at ISF, we have all sorts of research in terms of directing you in terms of summer programs, activities here in Hong Kong that indeed can help facilitate a better understanding of that passion and how it might connect to careers. We have students this year who are going to art programs, to architecture programs. Last year we had someone going into hotel management. There are options and good options for everyone, and it's a matter of finding the match.
那我们给予家长的建议呢，就是现在这阶段是不必要做任何的担心的，就是我们学生的这个升学是一个非常多元化的这个现况哦。那像我们可以举个例子，在去年我们学生有选择这个艺术方面的课程，到选择工程方面的这个课程，也有学生选择这个酒店管理的课程的。
So, if you need us, just give a call. You can email for an appointment. Again, I want to remind you that we have a curriculum that's being developed by Jim and Ellie and will be available to you. And speak to your grade level rep if indeed there's something that you would find particularly useful. Thank you.
那家长如果对于我们有任何问题，或者是想做一个约谈的咨询的话呢，我们可以参照上面的电邮，然后传个电邮给我们。那再来呢，我们就会建议家长可以跟这个家长代表做沟通，看看我们如何提升我们的这个课程上面的事。
And on to you, Jim.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jim Faherty. I'm one of the University Guidance Counselors here. 各位家长大家好，我的中文名字叫龙涛，我是去年新来的工作人员。So as you can see here, this is our poster. This is our constellation of stars, which is the class of 2020, where they graduated and where they matriculated to. So we're going to send out our school profile after this live stream, so you will have access to this. I know it's probably not that large on your screens at the moment, but we'll send out the PDF version so you can see in detail. Now, there's some really, really impressive names on there, and this just highlights how academically successful our students were last year, and indeed they are every year. So it's not only the big names, so Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, but also students who have found very specific programs to suit their own interests. So we've had students going into visual effects, archaeology, and Roman civilization. So again, we offer a service where we will place students in the best universities, which is best matched to their abilities. You probably can't see the data on the screen because it might be a bit small, but there was 288 offers for 50 students in the class of 2020. So that works out to around 5.8 offers per student. So the takeaway here is that no one goes home empty-handed. All students will receive multiple offers. So by probably around March or April, they will have a selection of universities to choose from, which puts them in a really strong position. So they're not just going for their only choice. They will have many universities to choose from, many excellent universities to choose from when it comes to finishing up their IB.
好，谢谢龙老师哦。那大家家长们可以听到龙老师是操一口流利的中文的，所以对于母语非英语的家长来说呢，我们这个面谈或者协助层面上呢是没有问题的。那现在在简报档所看到呢，就是有2个海报，就是我们去年2020年毕业班这个成就档案了。那我们看到学生是多么的优秀的。那我们可以举个例子，我们去年12年级呢是有50位学生，一共呢是有288个录取名额的，也就是平均每个学生呢是有5.8项的录取名额。所以没有一个学生是拿不到任何的录取的。那对于我们的学生来说呢，就是选的大学是有一点难度，因为他们太优秀了，他们不懂选哪一个专项的。好，接下来呢，我们学生也是有一些除了在这个像是牛津、剑桥、哈佛之外，一些名校之外呢，他们也会选择就这个学术兴趣选择其他的项目，像是例如是这个人文学、考古学之类的。
So on the right-hand side, you can see a map of destinations, and this highlights the diversity of regions that our students will matriculate to, so places they will end up going to university. Now, one of the questions from the parents was, where do your students go? And the honest answer is, it's very different every year. So the class of 2019 was roughly split between the US, the UK, and Hong Kong. As you can see there from the map, the class of 2020 was quite different. We had about 50% of our students matriculate to UK universities. And that's because tastes change, but also there is an overarching geopolitical considerations that we factor in. The last year, as you will no doubt know, was very disruptive here in Hong Kong, but also globally. You've got things like Brexit, the US election. All of these factors influence students and families' decisions. So for that reason, we do encourage students to consider multiple countries, multiple destinations when they're making their applications, because the geopolitical situation is continually changing, it's constantly shifting. We don't know what quite is going to happen. So it's good to have options in at least a couple of different places if you're not sure what is going to happen in one of those countries.
再来，我们在海报的右下角呢，是看到就是去年毕业班所有学生的这个去向，50位学生的这个去向。那在我们觉得呢，每年的这个去向呢，都是有一些不一样的，因为呢，我们视乎这个环境的变迁，各种因素，像是英国推出的这个欧洲市场，然后是美国选举或是疫情。还有去年这个香港一些事情等，都会影响学生的这个升学意愿的。所以呢，我们是鼓励学生去做这个多元选择，就是多个国家做申请，再从而去做这个筛选的。
Okay, so moving on, we've got our UGC Roadmap, and this is our guide or our map for students in each grade of what they can expect. So again, you can see an overview of what students in each of those grades can expect on the screen. But just to give you a summary, in grades 6 to 8, as my colleagues have mentioned, we will be sharing with you a curriculum, an optional curriculum for grade 6 to 8 students. And the focus here is on considering what happens after school. What is post-secondary all about? What kind of options do I have? It'll also get students to consider specific careers and career paths and the kind of steps you might take to reach those. So we will be sharing more on that after Chinese New Year.
再来，我们看到这个是一个6至12年级，它在不同年级上面的重点简介。那像是以6级、8年级为例子，我们是主要在这个初步萌芽的阶段去让学生建立了解自我的个性，以及增加他在学习方面的这个信心哦。无论其实他在校内或校外，以及正式或非正式的一些，他在这个初步阶段呢，都要有一个初步的认知，这个基本思想以及学习方式。那再来呢，我们到了9至10年级的时候呢，其实我们就会巩固在学术层面的学习的。那也有刚刚龙老师所提到的这个6至8年级这个新的这个升学辅导可选的课程呢，我们会计划在下个学年，就是农历新年过后再推出。
And in grade 9 and 10, the focus is on building a comprehensive understanding of students' own core competencies. So that's their interests, their passions, their academic strengths, and how these might feed into their future choices, such as their IBDP subject choices, and then eventually their university choices. We do have a planned grade 10 meeting with students at that time, so they can reflect with a UGC counsellor on what their choices might be. And we do invite parents to that meeting as well, because that's a very important junction when it comes to making selections.
再来就是9至10年级，那这个是比较有一些专项的这个培育的，因为我们主要是要巩固学生在学术层面的这个学习，因为他在10年级他要选他的DP 的这个选科嘛。那除了之外呢，我们也有这个 PSAT 的考试、小否平台的介绍，以及最重要的就是在那时候呢，我们会首次来这个1对1这个面谈，去更好的了解学生的进度。
And as my colleagues have mentioned this morning, we are supported by two excellent platforms here. We've got Cialfo and Unifrog. And these are platforms that will allow students to fully explore subject areas, but also explore different university courses and how they might start preparing for specific courses. So in grade 9 and 10, they have access to these platforms. Cialfo has a parent platform, a parent interface. So parents, once you get to grade 10, you can actually be part of that journey, be part of that process as well, and see what's going on in the curriculum and also in your own child's choices and how they're making their choices.
那刚刚辅导员有提到，就是9至10年级，他们会分别操作使用2个不同的这个平台，包括了这个 Unifrog 和 Cialfo 的。那 Cialfo 呢，它这个重点呢，它是因为它也是具备这个家长的平台。它也有这个中文这个界面的，那这个主要是让家长更好去和孩子一起去探讨这个各大学或者是层面以及他的升学旅程。
And then moving into grade 11 and grade 12, as you might expect, the intensity increases, so the level of support increases, the level of interaction with UGC increases. So there's regular UGC classes every cycle, every 10-day cycle with grade 11 and grade 12. We give full support with writing for the personal statement and the college essays, creating a resume, which might be needed for certain university applications or if they're applying for internships or jobs. We have a comprehensive SAT testing schedule, and we are an SAT test center, so we're able to offer that in a secure environment. Also pre-admissions assessments. So elite universities out there like Oxford and Cambridge, UCL and Imperial, they will have a pre-admissions assessment. So we do administer that in ISF as well, and we have support for that, as well as interview practice. So students who might be called to interview, we offer mock interview sessions with UGC, but also with faculty members across the school. So it's a very, very comprehensive set of support that your child receives once they are in grade 11 and 12, and that continues all the way through. And in addition to that, in-house, we also offer sporadic external support sessions. So, for example, in I think January or February this year, we will be inviting writing experts to come in and help the grade 11s begin their writing for their personal statement and their support. So there's a whole range of support there, and it's a full package for your child.
好，谢谢龙老师哦。那当学生在6至10年级奠定了一定的基础过后呢，来到11和12年级了，他的科目专项或者是我们对于他协助呢，会做一个更深入的这个探讨的。那首先呢，我们升学辅导课呢会改成是一个循环周期课表，就是10天里面呢就是有1堂的升学辅导课的。再来呢就是关于主要是为了做比较多就是这个大学学习的这个准备哦。我们会定期举办这个像是这个面谈，就是学生可以随时上来寻找我们的辅导员，在无论是对于这个大学申请或大学申请文件里面，就是包括了他的个人履历，像是他的个人陈述或大学这个论文，也是会做这个相对的协助的。那再来呢，我们也会教导学生去做这个面试的准备。那还有就是 SAT、ACT 所有考试的这个准备，以及我们会设定一些课程呢，是为学生量身定造的，包括像是接下来我们可能会在下一年请一些专家来为11年级的学生举办这个写作，就是大学申请文的写作做协助的。还有再来就是这个生活技能上的运用，就是我们希望他去升读大学过后，一个人在海外能够有这个自我顾虑的能力。
Okay, one of the questions was how does UGC approach different university systems in different parts of the world? It's very complex, but I'll give a very brief overview. So typically for non-US destinations such as the UK, Hong Kong, Canada, Europe, Australia, Singapore, etc., the universities are looking predominantly at academic exceptionality. So you have to highlight your academic aptitude when you're applying and your suitability for each course that you apply to. So that is a broad picture for non-US countries. And then in the US, it's a more of a whole person holistic approach where the admissions teams will, yes, they will definitely want to see your academic aptitude. They will also want to see evidence of aptitude in other areas such as leadership, service, could be sports, could be research projects that you've done. So they will want to see a more holistic, full picture of you as an individual. Whereas other countries tends to just be an academic focus on your suitability for one specific subject.
那有家长会提问关于美国以及其他大学到底它的特点、它的体制体系有什么不同呢？那其实我们尽量把它简化成2个层面就好了。第一个就是美国以外的大学，我们先来探讨美国以外的大学，就是像例如是香港啊、英国啊、加拿大、澳洲，然后还有的就是这个荷兰等。那他们就是以这个学术性为主的，像是学生要选他喜欢的，就是他的专项科目去从大一里面念起。那在美国方面呢，就是比较注重这个全人教育的。那当然，他也会注重这个学术的学生的个人学术水平。再来呢，他会注意一个360度的这个去看顾这个学生，包括学生是否有这个领导才能啊，或者是他的课外活动怎么样，然后还有就是他的这个体育项目，还有他是否参与义工这些。那这个简单来说就是2边这个大学体制上的不同。
And regardless of where students apply to, ensuring the best fit is the most important. So making sure that it is the most appropriate course or the most appropriate university for each individual student.
那龙老师再次强调，就是关于学生是要寻找一个适合自己的大学，而不是只有选择学校的这个知名度的。
And here's just a snapshot of a typical timeline for students in grade 12. So this is something that they can expect once they reach grade 12. We do produce a timeline for grade 9, 10, 11 and 12. Those are individual timelines so that students have a full understanding of what will be coming up in each academic year with regards to UGC interventions and activities. So this year we've just passed some of the major deadlines. We've got the Oxbridge deadlines for the UK, the US early application deadlines, and right now we've got the Hong Kong early application deadlines happening this week. So we will give your child the timeline at the beginning of the year so that they know what to expect. And we will share that with families as well, so you also have a good idea of what the kind of the milestones that are coming up in each month are to be expected.
好，在家长现在所看到这内容呢，就是我们今年12年级毕业班是个整年的一个我们所说的申请时间表。那它主要里面有一些大概内容，从右手边看起，像是8至10月，我们最近就完成了这个像是英国的申请，以及还有一些牛津、剑桥的申请，包括了还有香港这边的。那这个是这一整年的这个申请时间表，你有看到12年级学生其实是都十分的忙碌的。
I'd say the only exception to that is Australia, which has a much later application cycle. So students will actually apply to Australian universities after they receive their IB results in July. And UGC, even though they've completed their schooling at ISF, we will still be on hand to support them through that process.
这边值得一提的就是澳洲，它是一个比较特别的一个国家，大学方面，因为它呢是要等大学生的 IB 成绩出来以后呢，他才做这个申请的。那有学生如果对于澳洲有兴趣的话呢，其实我们在学生他 IB 成绩发放以后呢，我们都会继续帮他们做这个申请上的协助的，直到他顺利进入大学为止。
Okay, and I will now pass back to my colleague, Mr. Yao, who's going to continue with the next bit.
Okay, thank you, Jim and Carson. Before I go into the assessments, I do just want to start off with a couple of disclaimers, if you would like. There's absolutely no one set plan for every single student. The plan or the timing of taking tests may vary slightly between one student and another. And the other point that I would like to give before I start the slides is that we are a test center for certain assessments. We do give guidance to students in terms of planning when to take the test, how to prepare for the test. But I do want to make it clear that in terms of actual preparing, I mean tutorials, in practicing the materials, we do have to leave it up to the students and family to make that decision if they need further support on tutorials or if they are self-dependent enough to do self-preparation. And these are conversations that we have with students in grade 10 and 11 to decide that. So what I have on the slide here, or the screen here, is just an ideal planning on the American College Test. And again, the reason why I put the term ideal there is that, not every single student may be following this. There may be some students who need extra time than others, who may not follow this exact plan. But ideally, students would sign up for PSAT in grade 9. So looking at the very, very top chart there, that is the start of a student's journey if they are interested in going to the States for universities. And after the grade 9 first PSAT, then the pathway may split into 2 or even 3. I try to do my best to clarify this by giving different color schemes to the different pathways. So on your very, very far left-hand side, where it is purple, that is the SAT pathway. And then towards the middle there, where it is orange, you would have the ACT pathway. And also, a new pathway which kind of introduced and came out in recent times, especially after COVID, is that yellow pathway where students actually may not have to prepare for any tests. So there is going to be some interactions as well or connections between the purple and the orange, because when students get up to the higher grade level at grade 11, they may look into universities that actually require the SAT subject test as well, even though if they take the ACT pathway. So the subject test in grade 11 is kind of in between the two. But yet again, not all students have to do this. This is really done on an individual basis. The very, very far right-hand side with the yellow, which is the test optional pathway, actually is a very unique one. And we are seeing more and more universities in the States that are becoming either test optional or test blind. We do have to give some attention to these two terms because they actually mean quite different things. When it is test optional, it means that the students can still submit the test scores if they have done it, and it will be up to the universities to determine if they will use the scores in the admissions process or not. However, if students come to universities that are test blind, what that means is that universities will not use any admissions test score, even though the student has done it and even have excellent scores. So again, these are key terms that we are also learning together with the school community during this COVID period. And I did include a website which is called fairtest.org on this slide here. That website gives a list of universities that are test optional in the States at the moment. It's very, very extensive. We are actually having more of a difficulty finding universities that are not test optional rather than test optional.
谢谢尤老师。在这边我们看到这个就是有意就是往美国申请念大学呢，有这个整个这个考试的一个简单介绍。就是学生在9年级的时候呢，那我们在看这个箭头方面分为3个颜色，就是包括左手边紫色，右手边这个橘色，以及还有一个黄色的箭头。那学生他9跟10年级他参与了这个 PSAT 过后，就是 SAT 的预考。那他之后呢，其实因为我们学校是这个可以举办 SAT 考试的一个认可场地。那他就从而可以在11年级的时候直接 再次参与 SAT， 到12年级也是的。那再来右手边这个呢，就是这个 ACT 的这个考试这个介绍。那学生可以在10年级，他可以做2方面的评估，就是他个人喜欢，主要是偏好于 SAT 考试还是这个 ACT 考试。那这个要视乎每一位学生都不同的。再来到他12年级之前呢，他可能有一些大学会要求他要这个 SAT2，就是这个科目的测验。那我们再次强调，不是每一个大学都需要的。那比较重点的一年呢，就是今年这个个别状况。我们2021年呢，我们就可以看到最右手边这个黄色箭头这边，大学呢就推出了这2个措施哦。那这个我们不知道会否到以后也会持续当中，那可能只是限于今年或者是2021年的毕业生才有的。那主要是有2点，第一个呢就是叫做新的名词叫做 test optional， 简单来说呢就是可选性提交这个测验分数的。那学生可以提交，也要视乎大学它是否采取学生所提交这个分数。那 test blind 呢，我们意思是说，就算你提交了这个考试成绩，大学也不会去采纳这个成绩作为你这个入学的门槛的。那有关的详情呢，其实我们可以看到右下角里面有个网址，就是 fairtest.org， 可以进去里面参考看看。
So we're now shifting from the States to the UK. The planning on the UK assessments are actually more straightforward, if you would like. The only key difference is that on the UK side, the tests or the assessments are determined by if it is required or not, depending on what courses or what study areas that the students are applying for or interested in. Oxford, and Cambridge have their own set of assessments. And on top of that, students applying for professional studies, such as medicine, dentistry, veterinary sciences, would have 2 unique assessments, which are the BMAT and the UCAT. And of course, students who are planning to study for law in the UK would go for the LNET. Although there are different types of assessments in the UK, the timeline for preparation is very, very similar. Where in grade 11, students would start learning about these different tests, depending on, again, what they want to apply for in the future. And towards the middle and the end, or even the summer holidays in grade 11, they would start doing practice papers. And in the day and age these days, all these practice papers are actually available online, and some of which are even so technological in advance that they would even have a timed online test available on the websites. In the presentation, I've included a few links depending on, again, the test type where students can get the practice test. But all in all, students will be actually taking the real assessment in these for these courses starting from grade 12, term 1 usually. We are a test center for some, but not for all, and we will definitely give your family and students more information as time gets closer to grade 11.
好，在我们所探讨的就是这个英国对于这个升学部分的一些测验哦。那像我们举个例子，像在牛津、剑桥呢，它是有个别的一个测验的。再来就是学生可能对于法律或是医科，无论是这个牙医或兽医或是一般的医科呢，它是有个别的考试的。重点在于呢，我们是举办这个模拟考，其实大概是学生在11年级的第2学期开始，直到可能暑假时候呢，才会进行这个模拟考的。给他有一个充足的时间了解过后呢，那正式的这个考试呢是在12年级的第1个学期，因为那时候其实是刚刚好配合他们在申请这个大学的阶段了。那我们再举一个例子，就是说有些考试呢，我们学校会承办的，在一些考试呢，它是不让我们学校去做这个承办，它只能由这个当地这个认可的考试机构去承办这个考试的。
All right, so we're coming to a very interesting bit here is, can we tell the future or what's going to happen in the future? I'm really a person who believes in facts, and I'm a realist, actually. So, looking into the future, looking through a crystal ball, may not be extremely, reliable. And as you can see, crystal balls, the images in crystal ball usually will be turned upside down, and who would be the one to judge, what's real and what's not. And I always have reservation on people who can say for sure what's going to be happening in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, 4 years' time. You can definitely, we are in the middle of everything now, experiencing that the near future is very, very unpredictable. But what I can tell you, though, as a UGC counselor, is that we do work with universities, exam boards to get the most updated information. And I can tell you right now, these exam boards and universities are still running around and trying to figure out what they would like to do. But what we're seeing, what we're sensing with our current experience now is that more and more assessments will turn to an electronic format, meaning that the students will be taking these tests through their computers, and many of the times even through their own computers. The AI and the technology these days are so advanced that they can actually tell, what are on the student's laptop. So this is going to be the way that we are seeing. At the moment right now, some Oxbridge assessments and the Imperial ones have already gone computer-based. ACT has been computer-based for quite some time now. We have been hearing discussions, from the College Board talking about computer-based as well for the SAT. But I do want to put a question mark on the SAT because, again, that's not official yet. And I do want to, again, make a clarification here. It's only a discussion that's going on, but we don't have any solid information just yet. And another trend that we're seeing is that, students are probably will be taking these tests from home as well in their comfort zone. So that will be also or maybe possible for the future. But we'll definitely keep the school community informed about what we learn, on a daily basis on this revolution on testing. So we did also receive some questions from parents about, again, seeing if we can tell, what the future is going to be like on several matters, on the mode of learning, on the political environment, and also at the undergraduate admissions. Again, I only want to give out the facts, so I do put a couple of question marks there in terms of, how we look into the future. Now, for the mode of learning, as students and even us are becoming a little bit more used to online learning comparing to just half a year ago, I can say in confidence that all of us now are really getting to a point that, hey, online learning is really not too bad. Well, yes, there's a question on effectiveness. But that is another whole other matter or topic that educators and the technology professionals really will attack on. But I think going forward, we will only see, more and more of these, coming up. Now, politics, what I can say here is that universities and governments are most of the times are two separate entities. So whatever universities do in terms of, I want to make this clear, in terms of admissions, typically would not be governed or can be changed, by any government bodies. However, I do want to make this clear that visa matters, will be a completely different animal. Governments, would definitely have control over visas issues in terms of, who will get it and who won't, even if the universities accept or admitted the students. But what I can say here is that, regardless of what's going to be happening around the world, we will still encourage our students to be looking at many possible options as they can handle in terms of doing the research work. And that is just to maximize the different possibilities. Now, when we come down to admissions, again, in the near future, regardless of how the government is going to change, we haven't heard anything from admissions offices yet that things will change drastically, in the year or two coming up. Of course, for your son or daughter, we're talking about 5 years out, and that is really something which is a little bit difficult for us to predict. But yet again, please, I do ask for your trust that, we will work with you hand in hand to work out the best way possible or the best guidance possible for your sons or daughters in the years to come. Will test optional policies stay in terms of SATs and ACTs for the states? Again, temporarily, for this year, it is going to stay, but, how long is it going to stay for? We just don't know at the moment. It's really, really depending on, how the health condition is going to play out in the next few months. And, as you all have, been following the news, outside of Hong Kong, things are just even more uncertain, in terms of testing.
好，谢谢尤老师。那在我们这个话题就是关于这个未来前景以及入学评估考试等两方面做一个探讨的。好比刚刚尤老师所提到的，就是现在这个前景难以预测，大家看这个水晶球也可能是一个不太准的这个状况。那我们是比较一个现实层面的。那首先第一个点就是在这个入学评估考试之内呢，它可能会趋向这个从纸本到这个电子化的考试。举个例子，像这个牛津、剑桥的这个考试，或者是这个伦敦帝国大学呢，它已经逐渐把这个入学考试呢转变成这个电脑考试。它重点是主要透过这个 AI 人工智能去做这个监考，它能了解考生的一举一动，就是包括他在电脑前方或是周围是否有人，就是学生不能够做出任何作弊的举动的。再来就是这个像是 ACT 已经取向是用这个电脑去做考试，那我们可以稍微了解，可能 SAT 也会日后取向于这个考试，就是用电脑考，可能以后你能在家也能做这个考试。再来就是这个未来的环境变迁了，无论是在大学或者是在我们中学里面，你看到我们的学习模式已经取向于这个线上或者是在线学习，那它已经成为一个趋势，那大家也是习惯了这个操作模式嘛。那我们相信这个状况还会持续的一段长时间，因为我们可以看到现在除了香港以外，其他国家对于在疫情上面的状况也是还没有明朗的。那再来第二点是比较重点，我们也是比较小心的谈到这个话题，就是这个政治的。那我们认为呢，就是大学就是大专院校跟政府的体制呢是完全分开的。那我们也觉得就是政治不应该凌驾于教育之上的。那主要政府会涉及到的层面就是包括可能是在学生这个收生，就是他的签证方面会有这个做这个阻挠。那其他的话呢，我们相信一切入学上面都不会有任何的问题的。那再来就是我们刚刚提到这个 test optional， 就是这个可选性提交考试这个方案呢，那我们也不懂它会持续多久，那主要是要视乎这个疫情状况的。那主要是我们觉得是会持续到2021年这一届是会有影响的。
Before I spend a couple of minutes talking about the United States and what universities are looking for, I wanted to reiterate what the UGC believes in terms of applications generally. One, given these times, we really are encouraging students to apply globally, and so that means more than one country. We also have a formula that seems to really contribute to our success, which is students have reach universities, match universities, and safe universities. And this list is developed in concert with your UGC counselor. In terms of the U.S., it's a very Byzantine system, but we do know that generally we're looking at, as Jim mentioned, at a holistic appraisal system. Universities are looking for interesting students with documented attributes, strengths, skills. In fact, here at ISF, we've had 10 scholar athletes that have been recruited to top universities in the last 5 years. You see certain flags there, and those flags are put up for a reason, and it's not a good one. These are not the only universities in the United States. You know how people think, oh, Ivy League or bust. You'll see here also some admissions criteria or the actual application percentages. We really encourage you to begin to look at any time at the full range of options here. There's a link called bigfuture.collegeboard.org, which is a pretty comprehensive place to start the search. Another point, which I think has very much relevance to you all, ISF has something that's totally unique, and that's called Record of Achievement. So starting in grade 9, your son or daughter will be starting an athletic, arts, academic portfolio. And what this means is everything that your child has done in conjunction with the school will go in to universities as part of their transcript. And it really helps our universities in the U.S. particularly see your child's potential impact.
好，谢谢 Miss Lindy 哦。在 Miss Lindy 就是稍微聊一聊，就是现在美国这个升学的概况哦。那业务所在，我们提到就是美国是注重这个，除了学术方面呢，它也注重这个全人教育以及一个360度的这个体系去看一位学生的。那以下我们看到，我们举2个例子，就是一个最知名的大学，就是哈佛跟这个斯坦福大学，它是在全世界里面呢也是数一数二的大学，它也是高难度，就是它的门槛非常高。那所以我们要认清这个事实。那从而我们看到它的这个收生方面呢，2个层面，就是这个 ED， 就是这个提早申请或者是这个一般申请呢，你看到它的入学门槛也是非常的高的。再来呢，我们是建议在美国申请方面呢，我们做一个筛选，就是从3个层面，包括了这个是 Reach Match 以及 Safety， 就是这个我们在11、12年级会给学生做这个指引。就是学生可以选出，就是对于他现在这个这个水平上面高出他水平的大学，或者是符合他水平的大学。再来就是这个安全的保底的，就是这个低于他自己要求的这个大学的。
Well, look at that number in the right-hand corner, 4,726 possible accredited universities your child could apply to. How do we ever do it? Well, there are a few ways. One, we somewhat have an elitist view here. We've really culled the top 200 in engineering and in the arts, in theater, in liberal arts, as a possible match for your child. It doesn't mean you can't look further, but we will help you with this search. Every year, Dr. Pritchard visits U.S. colleges. To date, he's visited 180 different campuses to give his seal of approval. On the left, you see some possible universities, and these are places that our students have attended on a fairly regular basis. What's great about this is they can share their experiences with younger students applying, and generally they've had highly successful experiences with their match. So this is a unique process with many people engaged and involved, but ideally what we look forward to are excellent results and 100% placement.
那在大家看到就是右手边这个美国的这个地图，我们看到加起来大大小小一共大概有4726所认可的大专院校的。那我们标题所提到，其实红利呢，我们已经设定了这个所谓的目标100强这个大专院校，包括了一些知名的常春藤联盟或者是一些盟校的。那刚刚提到就是我们的总校长、校长呢，他 过去这几年呢，就是会趁暑假或寒假的时候去拜访一些美国知名的大学的，所以我们红利呢，其实与大学之间呢就有这个良好这个伙伴的关系的。在你们左下角看到这些大学呢，其实就是一些第一比较知名的大学，也是我们学生已经入读的大学的。好比说现在这一届他申请的大学的话呢，我们可以向他提供一些学长学姐，给他一些大学上面层面的协助的。
And I deliberately stayed back from the earlier part of this presentation because I wanted to give the limelight to the wonderful team of people that I get to work with on a daily basis. These guys' dedication to finding the right fit, the best fit for your child is it's beyond these slides. It's beyond the diagrams that you see in this presentation. So well done, guys, and thank you so much. My part of the presentation will deal with the universities in the UK. Every year we have students interested in and also applying to Oxbridge University. And here you have some statistics on the overall acceptance rate, 17.5% for Oxford and 21% for Cambridge. And within the overall acceptance percentage, you've got the engineering at 14.9% out of the 21, or law 15% out of the 17.5%. It's highly competitive, and the kind of things that Oxbridge look for in a student is dedicated student experts in a specific subject. And that would involve supercurricular enrichment, developing intellectual confidence in order to debate in any topic in the university curriculum.
那在最后一位登场的是我们的邓主任 Ellie Tang， 他是这个英国大学的这个强项，他给大家带来就是稍微这个在英国升学的讲解。那以最知名的英国的牛津以及剑桥大学，那我们可以看到它的收生率其实占了分别是 17.5% 以及 21%， 其实它这个竞争也是十分之高的。再来我们看到下面4项啊，就是分别是它的工程学系，然后法律、医学以及这个电脑科技的，它都是一些比较竞争性这个科目来的。
And just for the record, we have 18 out of the 60 students in grade 12 applying for Oxbridge this year.
那这边我们可以稍微透露，我们今年的毕业班大概是60位学生，那其中有18位呢是很踊跃去报这个牛津及剑桥的大学的。
Some of you may believe that, my kid is not suited to try out these top tier universities in the UK. So what other options are there for the student? So basically speaking, there are 3 types of British higher education institutions. The first type, which includes Oxford and Cambridge, is the Russell Group universities. And these are research-intensive universities offering a wide range of subject areas to study, anything ranging from theatre right the way through to something as specific as medicine or engineering.
那再来呢，可能有家长会问，到底哪些大学会适合我自己的小朋友呢？其实我们英国方面呢，我们归类为3类的大学。第一类就是 Russell Group， 就是这个我们中文可能叫做罗素集团大学。那它是主要大概有24所左右吧，我们可以从下方的连接可以按进去看的。那它主要是以这个研究型、密集型研究为主的。那它也是提供一些全面的专项就是研究的领域的。那再来第2种呢，就是具有这个学位赋予权的学校它是以走这个路线，包括像是这个伦敦艺术大学啊，像是这个戏剧啊、时尚设计、美术，或者是再有这个皇家音乐学院，或者是这个皇家芭蕾舞学校。那第3类呢，就是比较简单的，就是像是我们香港的持续性教育的这个学院， 它是提供一些横阶课程，就是像是这个高级文凭以及是这个副学位的。
So type 2, you have the professional and specialist careers, industry-oriented universities, like the University of Arts London for fashion, design, fine arts, and also the Royal College of Music or the Royal Ballet School for dance and performing arts. The other type of higher education institution is the College of Further Education Institute of Technologies, which offer these pathway programs and qualifications that access bachelor level programs. So you can see that institutions in the UK cater for a diverse range of interests and abilities.
那刚刚我已经介绍过第2类以及第3类的这个大专院校那总体来说，其实英国它也提供了一个蛮具体、一个广阔的思维，让学生在升学方面做这个选择的。
Before I move on to the next slide, I did remember from this parent survey seeing some questions about Hong Kong U Medicine. So I will be able to talk to these parents, okay, separately. But here, just for the general audience, Hong Kong U Medicine, 2 schools. One is at Chinese University, the other is at Hong Kong U. Hong Kong U Medicine, typically looking for very high grades in the MYP and also the IB. Typical offer ranges between 43 to 45 IB points. 45 out of 45 is the full IB points.
那刚刚邓主任提到，之前有家长可能问他这个关于香港医学方面这个入学的这个门槛那他会在稍后的在个别电邮回复这个家长。在这边我们可以提到，香港医学其实它的竞争性也蛮大的，主要是来自2个大学，包括是香港中文大学以及第2就是香港大学的。那这个呢，香港大学它的门槛呢非常高，它主要是希望学生无论是在MYP 及 IB 方面呢，都是要在43分至45分在这个入学门槛。
And for Chinese U, it's not that much better in terms of offer requirements because they are looking for students within the range of 42 to 45 IB points. At both medical schools, they are looking for relevant medical work experience. So some of the recommendations I typically give to students is to do work shadow at a doctor's clinic, or to do a summer medical program at one of the universities locally or overseas.
那在我们刚刚提到的另外一所学校呢，是香港中文大学有提供这个医学课程的。它在成绩收生门槛方面呢，也是不成多让的。它大概是门槛在于42至45分，而且它是需要学生有这个对于相关工作领域这个实习经验那我们给予学生的建议可能是，如果他有兴趣念医科的话呢，可能是需要在假期里面到诊所或者是一些大学提供这个医学的体验营上面做一个学习，有这个概念的认知。
If you forget everything that we have shared with you today, the one main takeaway I would encourage you, to seriously study is to think about this. Think about helping your child to build an academic and extracurricular portfolio with the goal of knowing your child and keeping all options open as long as possible. And this involves identifying and nurturing the intellectual interest. It means providing opportunities, even working with ISF school and UGC team to explore and find your child's passion and a better sense of who they are. It doesn't matter if their interests are a little bit crazy, because in fact some universities like quirky, nerdy students. Encourage and plan a good use of their time, particularly over the summer holidays, the school breaks, and think about leadership internships and work opportunities, which universities really like. Most importantly, it's really important to build confidence in the student so that they make happy choices at the end of the day. And if all these recommendations are followed, UGC can promise a college good fit match for your child.
那相信大家既然听了许多我们这个简报的介绍以及建议，都脑子都十分的卡住了。那包括我自己菜鸟，我自己的脑子也卡住了。那没关系，我们现在给大家这个6项的这个重点的建议。首先第一点呢，在6至8年级的层面呢，我们是建议学生可以识别培养他自己自身的一个兴趣。再来呢，就是可以从家长的层面呢，可以了解孩子他对于哪一些东西产生这个兴趣的，从而让他们了解自己，这是这个自我认知。第3点就是遵从他的兴趣喜好，虽然就算他是不合理或者是一个不常规的，因为其实在大学角度呢，他们希望招收不同类型的各种学生的。那第4点呢，我们是建议是计划和鼓励这个良好的这个时间管理，去做一些不同的尝试，包括这个领导才能的实习，或是一些实习工作的机会。那再一点最重要的是，要学生能够建立起这个自信心，就是因为他在升读大学方面呢，它不是一个输或赢的一个概念，而是成就他个人的一个教育。那我们觉得呢，遵从以上的建议呢，我们升学辅导处呢，能够保证为每一位学生提供适合的一个大学。
Okay, we're missing a slide. We're missing a slide. Okay, that's the correct.
那我们刚刚发现呢，我们有一个这个简报的这个界面是不见了，这个放心请各位家长放心。那我们会在之后呢，去把这个提交给大家去做这个参考。其实呢，它是一个蓝图，关于这个，我们接下来会在6至8年级呢，会有设计这个一个可选性的课程，它是一个让家长或孩子们自由参与的，而不是说要强制性的。那这个我们重点是，它不是一个强制性的课程，主要呢，我们是以这个家庭这个学习模式去做参与的。那给机会或是让学生能累积一点点的这个经验，因为我们之前是没有设计过这样的课程，那可能我们下次在农历新年过后，我们要考量就是推出这个课程后，我们可能需要家长参与的话，给予我们一些意见，就是觉得到底是否要继续进行，或者是从哪方面去打造的这个更好。
Okay, so here we finally found the slide. So in the vein of and the spirit of developing your child's passion and curiosity and for academic engagement, what UGC has done is developed a curriculum, an optional family curriculum for grade 6 to grade 8 families. It's optional, meaning that even if you didn't participate in this, your child will not be disadvantaged in terms of university applications in any way. But if you do decide, to do this, then it's a little bit of fun, and it's also a little bit of involvement on your part to encourage your child and find out more about, your child's interest. So in grade 6, we've designed a curriculum for campus tour, and that involves visiting Hong Kong U and getting to interview some of the students there on the green gown tour. In grade 7, we switched to getting the students to ponder about what their pathway, their future pathway would be, and what kind of options, would be open to them. Some will go straight directly from IB into university, but others might want to work a little or actually take a gap year. So students can start looking at these options. And in grade 8, we've designed a curriculum for experiential learning. And this is where the student starts looking at the world of work. Perhaps, okay, they get to interview you in your professional capacity and find out what kind of skill sets and knowledge sets are required to do certain types of jobs. And this will also involve, okay, looking at jobs, okay, of the future. And Mr. Jim's come up, okay, with this website where you can actually input a job and discover whether it will be replaced by a robot in 20 years' time. So that's quite a fun exercise. So this optional family curriculum that we are launching for the grade 6 to grade 8 students, this will happen after Chinese New Year. And after Christmas break, we will be in discussions with your grade level leaders on the best method to deliver, okay, this curriculum. The curriculum will not be taught by UGC counsellors. It will be, okay, monitored by parents, and their work will be displayed. We will find places to display their work and their findings so that it gets shared among the school community.
那在这边补充一下，在你们荧幕中所看见，就是我们还在设计当中的这个课程，像是包括6年级，我们开始有一个像是参观校园之旅，可能我们举个例子，像是香港大学。在7年级的时候呢，我们就会给学生一些建议，就是包括了就是他在未来他的学习道路，那除了是否学生毕业后进入大学是一个唯一的一个途径呢？其实不是的，它还有一个叫做空档年，那对他有产生如何的兴趣以及帮助。再来就是8年级呢，我们会给学生一些就是面谈方面的一个初步的体验建议的。那再强调一次，这个课程呢不是强制性参与，是家长以及学生是他可以做选择的，而且就算你没有参加的话呢，也不会在你最后有任何的这个损失或分数上面的损失的。谢谢。
The final thoughts is that we are living in very unprecedented times, and you as parents may be very concerned about the unpredictability of the situation. COVID in many ways has actually exacerbated, okay, VUCA. VUCA meaning volatile, unpredictable, complex, and ambiguous. This is the kind of world, okay, that your child will be applying to university in, or, okay, working in, okay, later on. So the thing is, one thing that hasn't changed is our old age of ice, okay, of actually maintaining close communication, okay, with the school and working with, okay, the school and UGC to ensure positive outcomes for your child.
那在这个简报最后呢，我们给予大家一个小小的建议，就是因应这个时间和这个大环境的变化，我们觉得大家应该去放眼全球，做这个全球化的思考的。那唯一不变呢，就是我们鼓励孩子、家长、学校这3方面呢有一个密切的沟通，提早做准备，从而达到一个良好的这个升学的一个进度。谢谢。
Thanks. So finally, for your questions, we will spend about 5 minutes or so just checking to see whether there are any questions, okay, that have been sent through during this presentation. You are welcome also to email the UGC team, okay, after the live stream, if you, okay, want to ask your questions, okay, separately. But I just want to take this opportunity to thank the team for doing a brilliantly today, and also to thank IT for doing a wonderful job, okay, this morning. But we will wait, okay, for about 5 minutes just to take, okay, any questions that might have come through.
那再来就是最后一个简报档。那家长如果有问题的话呢，可以传至刚刚的连结，或者是电邮给我们这个问题哦。那再次谢谢各位家长花时间去聆听我们这个简报档，以及我们为刚刚早上所出现的这个技术上的错误呢，致以这个深感抱歉的。那再次谢谢家长，谢谢。
Okay, so we do have some questions, but Mr. Terence believes, okay, that it will be better, okay, actually, that we answer them, okay, via email, because it may take, okay, up more of your time. So thank you from the UGC team for spending time with us this morning and also your questions. Goodbye.
那刚刚我们收到的这个问题呢是超乎我们想象的。那我们逐一回答的话呢，可能会花个我们2-3个小时。那我们现在决定做一个小小的建议，是我们